Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurara Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Nandi. Hare Krishna. What should we read from? What's this? We read from this. ISKCON Vrindavan. Beautiful. Prasadam. Maybe you'd like to ask some questions. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Apitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagata Mayam Tadati Swapadanti Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sapadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Anvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanasi Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakopatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. You'd like to ask any questions?
Before or after class?
Really? Don't ask the same question you asked last time.
What is the question I ask?
How to become humble.
Yeah. So my question is, how can we become humble?
Or how we can become, not how I. Change the question from I to we. What's the question?
It's related, but so why we can't? What's stopping us to fix our minds on Krishna?
What's stopping us to fix our minds on Krishna? What do you think?
Maya.
You're blaming Maya. Maybe we're desire, we're still attached to Maya. Our mind is floating to Maya. What else? There's a story, isn't there, of the king who asked that question, not that question, but a similar one. What is it causes us to remain even though, even in old age, we're still attached to the material enjoyments? What is it that causes us to be entangled, to be attached in this modes of material nature? No one was really satisfying his inquiry in the court. One old, blind kind of man stumbled into the courtroom. People thought, get the man out of here, but the king said, let him stay. And he came and he walked across the courtyard somewhere else. He stumbled over people and bumped into a tree and threw his arms around the tree and screaming loudly said, let me go, let me go, let me go. The tree was not holding on to him. Don't blame Maya. We're holding on to Maya. So similarly related. Any other comments on what's stopping us from fixing our mind on Krishna? Is there anything stopping us? Is there like some devil there that's like, Christianity, they say it's the devil, isn't it? The devil is tempting you. Yes.
Maybe we should rather fix our mind on the lotus feet of the spiritual master instead of trying to fix our mind on Krishna. We should fix our mind on the lotus feet of the spiritual master.
That's a nice personal realization. It's also a statement, meditating on the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Of course, meditating on the lotus feet of the spiritual master can be taken literally, but in practical terms, it's the instruction of the spiritual master. Meditating, focusing our attention on the instruction of the spiritual master and trying to make that our life and soul. Because the instruction of the spiritual master, however, is to think of Krishna. So it becomes one stage there. But we understand by the mercy of the spiritual master that you could say the good fortune or the blessings are required to enable that we can focus our attention on Krishna. Take this further. Somebody else like to say something. How to focus our mind on Krishna. And how to focus it, you can say many things. I mean, there's all kinds of. What's preventing us? Was it what's preventing us? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
What is preventing us? Is there anything preventing us? Other than desire? Yeah, what the various, let's say, enemies, they don't have to be enemies either. We can dovetail those in turn of Krishna.
What does it mean to fix the mind?
What is the meaning?
It's dynamic, no? It's not like stagnant in one
Not
point.
stagnant, is it? That's an interesting perspective. We're not Mayavads or rocks that remain forevermore, like fixed on, even meditating on the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Somebody may say, what are you doing? I'm meditating on the lotus feet of my spiritual master. You're spending a whole day meditating. And I heard that that's how we actually become Krishna conscious, so I don't want to do anything else at all. And of course, when prasadam comes, some or another, there's an interference in that process, but in sleep. But it's a dynamic process. So what does it mean? You could say they're very related. You're answering your own question, is that right?
No, because he was asking. I was just wanted to say that.
So in that dynamic sense, you had some comment?
No, I was just wanted to say that if I rephrase my question, is like how to become fixed, like Nishta.
How to become fixed. It was the same thing.
Okay.
Well, it's not. It's kind of the same thing.
It says, Yasam tu angatam papan jananam punya karmanam terbante doni mutta bhajate mandrita bata. Fixing bhajan, one can become fixed. One is free from all path, free from moha, illusion, duality means this kind, and punya from many life acquired. Then Krishna tells that he can fix over Shini and Rita.
This advice may take time.
Take time, yeah, that's the point. Anartha Nivita may take time.
May take time.
This is what means fixed, and one thought that comes to my mind is that regardless of the circumstances and events we go in life, our destination remains intact. Because at the earlier stages, due to presence of avidya, ignorance, lack of consolidated knowledge, means we have some information about Krishna, we heard some classes, but it's very loose. We have some pieces here and there. When knowledge becomes consolidated, then understanding of Sambandha, Videya and Prayojan becomes consolidated, becomes structured. All the random loose pieces come together. And regardless of what we go through in life, we understand that that's the destiny. I can go a bit left, a bit right, but I need to go there.
Keep bringing it back on that understanding what our goal is. Because the process of devotional service itself is meant for this purpose, whatever we're doing. Is Srila Prabhupada was saying this afternoon that one devotee was asking a similar question, and he said, I'm Srila Prabhupada, I'm distributing back to Godheads, but how can I remember Krishna? Something like that. I said, but by distributing the back to Godhead, this is, don't you remember Krishna? This is the magazine, Krishna's magazine, by making life memorable, because this is a practical aspect of it, the preliminary stage, you could say, but it's the stage, a stage of trying to see everything in relationship with Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna discusses quite a bit, really. I mean, the 10th and 11th chapters almost exclusively, and 9th chapter also quite a bit. How we can be aware of his presence in the world around us and in our actions, in our, even in a sense, in our own abilities and what have you. How we can be aware of Krishna's presence there. It may not be very evolved in terms of relationship, but we can see Krishna's, or not say see, but we can be conscious of how everything's related to Krishna. So a stage in devotional service is there. Service itself of various kinds is meant for that purpose. Of course, chanting the holy names is the, practically speaking, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, because we're still so much, we could describe it from different angles, you could say, but there's so much affected by the modes of nature. We're still identifying with those modes and consequent reactions of in being in contact with these modes for many lifetimes of material desire, tendencies and so on. We still have an identity with those. We're not, this is where Sambandha comes in, understanding proper things in proper way, especially our identity. We have a strong identification with this mind and body, which is a result of karma. Ultimately behind it all is desire. So how to transform that desire away from the desire to enjoy or to try to have relationships with the external energies separately from Krishna, to having a relationship with Krishna, basically. It's like if you're in love with somebody, of course, it's not difficult to focus your mind on them. It's difficult to take your mind off them. If there's something we really like, we have a hankering for something, our mind gets preoccupied with that subject matter. It may have many different aspects to it, but it's basically the same subject matter. Be it, a person or some sport or some kind of place or whatever it may be. Philosophy, something or another. The mind is usually preoccupied. A businessman is usually preoccupied with business and is constantly thinking of how to make money or what is the stock market and so on and so forth. It's his goal, that's his objective, no doubt. And his studies, everything, it's not acable, it's not completely one-pointed, other things, but it's an example that they're quite focused on that topic, even though it's a temporary object. Their mind is drawn when that identity, that attraction towards something, and then, the mind naturally. So to awaken the attraction towards Krishna, or towards devotional service, basically it's many angles, but it's the association which is a very essential feature in this regards. Whatever form or whatever activity takes place within that association will vary, but association of those who have an attraction, of those whose minds are fixed, like we hear about Ambarish Maharaj, Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayor, Vichangsi Vaikuntha Ganana Vanane, how he fixed his senses in every way on Krishna, his mind. And there is very practical. I mean, Ambarish Maharaj is of course, a great soul, but he's basically showing the path of sadhana bhakti, practicing devotional service, how we can do that by engaging our senses in various ways in Krishna's service. And the mind, of course, thinking of Krishna, but particularly the deity of Krishna. Then the Lord has appeared in the deity form, non-different, the Supreme Lord Himself. We see what we see. But by meditating on that lotus feet of the deities or upon the deities themselves, this is the way of, doesn't mean to say one way, of remembering Krishna for sure, and then engaging our senses. As long as we engage our senses more and more in activities which are related to Krishna, then there's more and more chance. There's two sides. One is, don't indulge yourself in meditating or activities which cause the mind to be occupied in illusory thoughts, in thoughts separated, apparently separated from that which are pleasing to Krishna. In other words, meditating on mundane topics or mundane forms, mundane knowledge, whatever it may be, newspapers as we were hearing this morning, and so on and so forth, which may drag our attention, and then the mind starts to think about them. And social media, of course, so much opportunity is there to divert our minds. The whole process is to try to drag us. This is Maya's business. It's not the Maya's like the devil. Maya is Krishna's energy. But her business is there to facilitate. Because the errant desires of the living entities at the same time to test us. It's not that it sounds a bit harsh, you may say, but to go back to God, it is not like, as easy as buying a ticket to go to Delhi or something. It's not like going somewhere and you purchase a ticket by so many quantitative endeavors. And ultimately, it's the mercy of the Lord. So when those temptations are there, when you see whatever it is, what do we do? How do we approach it? And we often find the mechanical process is emphasized. Breathing. You sit and you control your breath. These things may be helpful. You sit in a certain posture, a certain place, certain time. You say certain prayers. You do certain things. You try to keep engaged in activity. Prabhupada would say 24 hours a day, try to keep engaged. In different ways, we hear Bhagavatam and honor prasadam. By honoring prasadam, this also is all to help purify our mind, to fix the mind with rapt attention. Prabhupada writes in the purport in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavatam, probably the last verse, where Sutta Goswami is saying to the sages of Naimisharanya, now hear from me with rapt attention, just as I have heard from my spiritual master. You hear now with rapt attention. By hearing this subject from the right source with rapt attention. This is why our mind is, because our mind is contaminated, or our mind is polluted by all kinds of different thoughts and desires and so on. Prabhupada writes in the purport that if one hears this Bhagavatam with rapt attention, one will be able to see Krishna on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. But to hear with rapt attention, one has to be pure in mind. Our mind is very impure. So the process of purification of the mind, the right understanding is, of course, a necessary, say, approach or attitude in the practice. But there's a practice of purifying our mind. And one of the aspects is positive, and you could say the negative also, is to avoid activities which are impure and to try to implement pure activities. In one's eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, it's not possible to be pure in mind if one's eating, sleeping, mating, and defending are not pure. And other activities too, obviously. It's not just a matter of thinking of Krishna and doing all kinds of nonsense. You may occasionally think of Krishna in one way or another, but to have that rapt attention, one has to be purified in mind. So the process of purifying our you could say, our mind is to be engaged, to engage our senses, including the mind, of course. And the living entity is struggling very hard in this manasastani indriyani, struggling very hard in this material world, in the modes of nature. Very hard to control the mind, especially the mind. Senses. If we can engage in the senses, we may not have the intelligence particularly developed, not very pure, and our mind is very disturbed. But if someone or another in the association of devotees, we're engaged in service. Usually when we're not very mature outside the association of devotees, the temptation is there to, get entangled in the material world quite easily, usually. In the association of devotees, and say the association of devotees infers devotees who are sincerely trying to be Krishna conscious, not just somebody dressed like a devotee with a name and is doing nonsense, but devotees who are trying to become Krishna conscious, trying to follow the process of becoming Krishna conscious. It's usually easier for us to be engaged. By engaging in the sense, at least we're not pouring. Prabhupada would give the example sometimes of a vessel like a cup, and the cup is full of dirty water. You can't see anything clearly. It's very murky. Of course, you may want to cleanse the water. Let's say you want to fill the cup up with milk. You can pour the milk in, but if you keep pouring dirty water in, of course it's not going to get very clean, very purified. And we have to pour the milk in, but we don't pour any dirty water in either. We have to fill gradually the cup will become more predominantly. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj particularly emphasized this point of association, depending on the degree that we associate with, let's say, in simple terminology, Maya, and the degree that we associate with Krishna. Of course, it's not as black and white as that, you could say, but in principle, like that. The more we associate with Krishna's will, and the less we associate with the will of, let's say, our illusory idea, or others' illusory ideas of how to enjoy and so on and so forth, then the opportunity or the rapidity, the progress can be made by association. Not just the external, but the internal too. And what goes behind that? Well, desire is a pretty big factor. Desire. We're in this world because of desire, and if we really want to become Krishna conscious, because no doubt it takes a little bit of more than just blind faith or comparatively relative faith, but it takes very strong faith that no matter what happens, however many temptations are there, which there will possibly be, one will remain. And what do we do? What do we do when our mind is wandering or when it's not focusing on Krishna? What do you do? Nothing? What do you do? What do we do when the mind is wandering?
Bring the mind back.
We try. Anything else? Krishna recommends that, doesn't he? Draw the mind back, but is there anything else we can do?
Yeah.
That seems to refer mostly to the yogi
Yeah, like Abhyasena Vairagena.
in the 6th chapter, isn't it? It's kind of the process of yoga, which is mind control, sense control, which they do. It's also applicable in devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, but is there anything more in Bhakti Yoga, or is that it? Does it depend on our willpower, our
Pray.
strength? Pray, that's a good one, isn't it? Pray. Pray for what? Fulfill my material desires. These desires are coming, Krishna, please fulfill them. Some so-called gurus suggest that you have to fulfill those desires, only then can you move forward.
Yeah.
There was one famous one in Pune who used to preach along those lines. You like that one, don't you?
One of the 10 diseases before.
Sad.
What do we pray for?
Some temple.
And then
Well, there's many details, but in regards to the mind's state of mind, can we conquer our minds?
No.
Krishna says something about that in the Bhagavad Gita, doesn't he?
No.
One is like the wind, he says, isn't it?
Mind is like the wind, yeah. That's one thing. More difficult to control than a raging wind, Arjuna says. Huh? And Krishna says, yes, it's a fact, but it is possible by
constant Abhyasena Vairagena, by constant
Detachment.
detachment.
detachment. And Vairagena detachment, Abhyasena by constantly trying to
Determination.
determination.
Determined practice, put practice.
Exact word.
What exact word? Detachment and
In Sanskrit is Abhyasena.
I think Abhyasena is practice.
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 So our practice is, of course,
Constant practice.
to engage ourselves in what do we do? What do we do? What do we do that helps that? What are we supposed to do? When you've got a spare moment, what do you do?
When you
Chant Hare Krishna.
When you have a spare moment, what do you do?
chant Hare Krishna.
Pardon? I mean, what should we do? Let's say, not what do we do. What should we do? Chant. The Lord has appeared in the form of a Nam Prabhu. We take shelter of Nam Prabhu. That's a prayer also, of course. Please engage me in your service. But what is the what prayer would you offer if you're struggling with your mind? You want, I mean, you know, this degrees of sincerity, no doubt, but you know, we can have repetitive, mechanical prayers which But they never go in vain. I mean, something's there. But the prayer should be sincere. Prabhupada writes anything like Queen Kunti is praying. May my attention to you. What does she say? Huh? Queen Kunti? What's the verse? Yeah. Just as the river Ganges flows, we can't say exactly unimpeded, there may be, but it continues to flow no matter what towards the ocean. In a similar way, my thoughts constantly flow towards you, more or less. So that, that's a prayer, nice prayer. That we, with sincerity, and Prabhupada writes, I think, in that purport there, that no sincere prayer goes in vain. So we may not be so sincere, but something may be there. This is, depending on the mercy of Krishna, we can't possibly conquer. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita about this material energy?
It's very difficult to overcome.
Yeah, very good. And the meaning?
Very difficult to overcome.
This material energy very difficult.
Very hard to overcome. It's not easy to overcome this material energy. What do we have to do?
Surrender.
Pardon? Those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So surrendering unto Krishna, what does that mean?
Saying this 6 point as separate or separate.
Well, yeah, that's on the you could say the effectual platform. What about on the causal, more on the causal platform?
Krishna is the cause of all causes.
Excuse me?
Krishna is the cause of all causes.
What did you say?
Krishna is the cause of causes.
Krishna is the cause of all causes, not a blade of grass.
So it's all his fault. Yeah, well, at least you're thinking of Krishna, you could say. What can I do? It's Krishna's fault. He put me in Maya. He created Maya. He created me. It's all his fault. I wasn't thinking of causal in that terminology. What causes that? What do we have to do to I mean, you can't just suddenly be you can, but it usually takes time that you're suddenly surrendered on the spot. Maybe if someone puts a gun in your head, you might surrender or something. I surrender.
It's letting go of our desires and aligning it with Krishna's.
Yes, so that's the question. Look, the whole question is how. That's one of the symptoms of surrender, but how that we have no desire separate from that of Krishna's desire. But how? And that's back to... It's a nice circle, isn't it? We're kind of back to meditating on the lotus feet of the spiritual master because he knows. He's always thinking of Krishna. Isn't that the goal of Bhagavad Gita? Is that right? Is it not? I say Bhagavad Gita leads on to the obvious effects of coming to that, but the Gita ends off more or less. I mean, obviously the Bhagavatam contains everything, including the process, but the Bhagavatam also connects in terms of what it means to always think of Krishna. So what is that in the Bhagavad Gita Krishna says?
Fight.
Says, Dehinosmin yata dehi. You got it. Yeah, that's the verse, isn't it? Dehinosmin yata dehi yada yada hi dharmasya moksha ishami ma sujaha yoginam sarvisha. That's the verse, isn't it? You know that verse, right? That's the 19th chapter, verse 6.
Yes.
Yeah, you know that
I
verse.
remember.
You know off by heart. Yeah. Those who stand on their heads underwater in the middle of the night, eating gulab jamans, are guaranteed to go back to Godhead in time. They are the greatest of all yogis. That's so amazing. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
And the monkeys didn't even get that.
The monk has got me. Oh no, what's happened there?
Maybe the screw.
It's finished.
Or is it
I don't even know if it's the, I'm not sure, I don't know if it is the screw. I think it's the actual thing itself. I think, I can't see without my glasses on, so I can't tell. No, it's the actual thing itself. The actual thing itself has come apart. It's not the screw, I don't think.
If you want, you can give me. I'm going by scooter to this one
I'm
nice shop.
screwed. Here, who's good at these things? Yeah. Can we sit down? Don't stand right in front of me. We'll go. If you're expert at this, that's fine. If you're not. Is that your job, is it? Fixing spectacles?
I just try to help where I can. There's always a solution to everything, right?
You got it the right way around, has it? And they back to front, aren't they? I can't see clearly, but it looks... I do have another pair of spectacles in that grey case up there. So again, one thing which Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, you got it? As far as I know, it's Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. It is impossible for the jiva to single-handedly control the illusion, control his mind, to control the illusion of, in chanting for instance, of inattention is impossible. He says that. It is impossible for the jiva to single-handedly overcome the illusion of inattention. You can try your best, but the material energy is very strong. What are you looking at? You? Did you find them?
It's not the screw, it's like...
No, it's not the screw. The actual thing has come apart. I think it's actually broken in
What we
half.
can temporarily do is
Huh?
you have a little bit of strong glue, because we can stick it down.
That's what now I can see, so you can give it back to me.
Alright. So if you have a little bit of strong glue, you can just maybe stick it down for now.
Yeah, I'll have to get a refund from the dentist. These are a new pair of glasses almost.
Dentist?
From the dentist, yeah. Oh no, it's an optician, isn't it? Yeah. I'll have to get a refund. They're not very old, these glasses. Yeah, it's come out, see?
Yeah, no, so...
There's a pin there,
Yeah.
and there's a hole there, and it's come out of the hole. For some reason. Yeah, it won't take much to fix that. I'll put them there.
So a little bit of...
Yeah, we'll work on it later on. I'll get a refund. He didn't charge me anything in the first place, but anyway, I'll try to get it for free. Yeah, so what to do is impossible, he says, to jiva to single-handedly control the illusion of inattention. So what do you do?
So in the night time, you give.
Oh, good. I've got some spare shoes if you want. I've got the stick also. Nighttime is a stick, the morning's a shoe. Interesting statement. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said you beat your mind 100 times in the morning with a shoe and 100 times at night with a stick. So if you want, we should have a store here selling shoes and sticks. That's where all the shoes are going. That's why we keep losing our shoes. People are taken to beat their minds with. It doesn't mean that exactly.
How about not focus on anything, just live in the present, now is forever, as they say.
Live forever in the present. It depends what the present is. If your present is Krishna conscious, that's good.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So
You know, that's one of the tips that if you go to the japa, and if you're going for the japa retreat, and what they call holy name retreat, are you going? You're going? Anyone else going? Not going?
One
That's-
day.
is that the one in Gotham?
One day I went.
You went one
Every
day.
year normally one day. Sometimes I join.
Yeah. Well, that's one of their. These are externals in one sense, but nonetheless, we have to, you know, because we're on the external platform, engage in the externals in the right way in relationship with Krishna. So just try to hear one mantra. Don't worry about the last one or the next one. This is kind of living in the present, you could say.
But
You know.
That's what I mean.
I mean, you know what it's like. You sat there. I sat there in Prabhupada's room this morning and trying to chant for an hour or two. We all know what it's like. I had there's this one brahmachari on my left side, and he's chanting.
very soft.
Yeah, all right.
He was chanting away there,
Very soft.
very focused. He hardly moved. And then another brahmachari, a good friend of mine, sat on the right side with him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Ram is next.
Ramani. Hare Ramani, 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 Ramani. That's a new one, and no one to add to it. Ramani, Ramani, Ramani. Maybe Ramani. The Ramani mantra. He was tired. He'd been on Govardhan Parikram all night, so he was tired. Most of the night, anyway. But, so what do you do? What is Krishna consciousness? Let's look at Krishna consciousness in a practical, from our present approach. What is it? What would it be? It's also part of the process of surrender, one of the characteristics of surrender. We've more or less heard accepting unfavorable, rejecting unfavorable, accepting favorable, but we've heard having one desire similar to that of the Lord, so in line with His. It's our oneness with the Lord. What else? There's many things involved.
Yeah, 6.
You said beating the mind, this helps to make you humble.
No.
Shoot.
Meek and humble. What does it mean to beat the mind?
Like, but is
What's the practical understanding of that?
whatever my speak, don't like
Kick it away, huh?
like morning, evening and morning, sometimes overspeak my Baba. Just
Boom, boom. Is that what it means, to beat the mind with a shoe when you wake up?
I also remember in regards to Arini's question about how do we become fixed. In Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani by Shiva Ramaraj, 2 things that he described that helped me in my life in regards to the stage of Nishtha. He mentioned 2 qualities of a devotee as the stage of Nishtha. One is a consistency in Vaishnava qualities, because at early, in immature stages of devotion, sometimes the devotee is humble, other times is arrogant, sometimes is kind, other times is harsh. He's trying, but then the lower nature kicks in sometimes, so that consistency on Vaishnava quality traits is not there in our dealings, in our interactions with the devotees. So that's one aspect. And the second one is mature understanding of Sambandha Tattva. That one needs to understand who I am, who is God, and what is this world, and what's the dynamic between them.
Prabhupada mentions that, constantly remembering that. Who are we? You know, remembering our identity, remembering our objective, remembering who the objective is. Remembering the means is if you have an objective in life, you know, you're going to do that which is favorable to achieve that objective. Whether it's passing an exam, making money, winning a game, you're going to go for it. Getting something strong, having that understanding of what the goal of life is and how to achieve it also. And definitely, if you want to go somewhere here, geographically speaking, we're in a tract of land near immature Vrindavan. If you want to go to Delhi, for instance, you have to, you have to know how to get there too. You know where you are and know what the goal is, and you know how to get there. But then the first thing is you have to know where you are. So if you don't know where you are, it's pretty hard to say how to get there. Even if you do have some idea of where you want to go, you also got to know who you are, where you're at. These are foundational things, but let's get back to your point about beating the mind with a stick and a shoe. What does it mean? Interesting. I couldn't find it, but I know where I read, but I read it somewhere. And if I'm not mistaken, again, it's back to Siddhanta Maharaj. Describes that when you wake up in the morning, now we're waking up in the morning. Wake up. What do you do when you wake up? What do you do besides groan? What else do you do? You groan. Oh no, it's time to get up. Oh God, no. What do you do?
Water.
Pardon?
Drink some water, yeah.
What was that?
Drink some water.
Drink some water.
Drink some water? You can do. I usually get up and wash my teeth first. I don't like drinking water with a dirty mouth. I like to clean my teeth. What else do you do? With the mind. Let's look at the mind. Let's think of the mind.
To Vrindavan Parikrama.
Chant. Well, yeah.
With the mind. I'm saying with the mind.
Oh, with the mind. Okay, yeah, that's one thing you can do.
Like I went to Guru and then go to Kali Ganga.
So, yeah, you can do that. Even sometimes whilst chanting japa. And it's amazing you can do both at the same time. You can meditate walking around Govardhan Hill, or you chant japa, or other holy places. It's a good meditation. There's different aspects there. But so when you wake up in the morning, I have this song. He said, this is a song you sing when you wake up in the morning. I've never learnt it. I can't even remember it. I've got it on my computer somewhere. And it's glorifying all the associates of Lord Chaitanya. You remember the pure devotees of the Lord when you wake up. By their mercy. Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said the only way, or maybe it was Bhakti Vinod, I can't remember, but the only way that one can overcome this illusion of inattention is by the causeless mercy of the Lord. Mercy of the Lord. Therefore one should fervently pray for His mercy. If we really want to, we may not really want, we may want, let's say, I don't know, they have a funny statement, I don't understand it, but you can't have the cake and eat it or some silly statement. Why not? But anyway, whatever it is, but you've got to do your work, no doubt about that, to deserve. You've got to show your desire, intent, strong desire and intent. We really want to be serious. Prabhupada talk about being serious. It's not just a mechanical process. Prabhupada writes the awakening of our dormant love for Krishna, our affection for Krishna in the stage prior to love. Our affection to Krishna does not at all depend upon the mechanical process of hearing and chanting, but depends wholly and solely on the mercy of the Lord. It doesn't mean we don't hear and chant, we do. But we don't do it like, as if it's, going to cause. It's not like, I've got $100, I can buy a ticket. Not like that. This is our desire of the Lord. This morning, Dharmatma Prabhu was telling me something. I can't remember what he told me exactly. Dharmatma is like the temple secretary here. He's behind the scenes. He's doing a lot. And he's dedicated his life to staying here. His Guru Maharaj asked him to stay here his whole life and serve. You know Dharma. Huh? And he was telling me that Mukunda Datta, not the Pujari, the other one I think, gave a seminar. I don't know if any of you were there for his seminar. I wasn't there. He was talking. Pardon?
Prabhupada disciple.
Yeah, Prabhupada disciple, exactly. Gave a seminar, and I can't remember what he said, but it was like, you gotta. It was along those lines that the holy name, chanting the holy name is the only real foodstuff. So it wasn't that. I'll have to ask him again tomorrow. But it was really nice what he said. It's the only thing that captures Krishna's heart. When the name is offered, and when we offer, I don't know how he worded it. It's not like that, but something like nobody got it from somewhere, scripture quoting. But the sincerity, the attitude. Prabhupada says the attitude which we have. It's not cheap. We don't take it cheap. Oh, Krishna, why don't you just give me or something? You want it cheap. It's with love, devotion. So beating the mind with a shoe, immediately you try to remember that, remember your Guru, remember the holy name, remember the holy Dham, remember the holy devotees. Try to focus on that. The mind has a tendency to dwell on, other things, mundane things. And nighttime also, isn't it, at the end of the day? It's oftentimes, isn't it funny? You can kind of go through the day sometimes with maybe not directly thinking of Krishna as much as you could, but at least in service you're kind of pretty occupied. And then the morning and night are like interesting. Nighttime, what goes on in your dreams is another thing. But at least when we're conscious, and the more we're conscious, Prabhupada was saying this afternoon also. Oh yes, even when you're dreaming, and Prabhupada then gave an example. He said, you will also dream. He says, sometimes I also dream. He says, sometimes when Prabhupada was laughing, it was 1968, so we're very young. And he says, sometimes at night when I'm dreaming, Prabhupada was saying like this, I feel hungry in my dream. Then I dream of myself eating some kachoris. So though I'm not actually eating, I feel satisfaction. So it's because of the day, Definitely what we do in the day has an effect on what you dream at night, if you do dream or remember your dreams. They're related. And that's the whole thing, isn't it? On the platform of the mind, we try to fill the mind with thoughts of Krishna. And particularly hearing and chanting. That's what we heard this morning, wasn't it? In the Bhagavatam. Particularly hearing and chanting is the hearing and chanting the Bhagavatam, particularly as a cure to all ills. To hear regularly from the right source, isn't it? Nivrittatarshir. What does Parikshit Maharaj say in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam? Isn't it? 10.1.4 Nivrittatarshir Padimana Bhavoshi Chota Manoviran Gautama Shloka Ganana. That verse. What does he say? Let me see. I don't know, where's my computer? Let's read the verse in purport. It's a great verse. A verse to remember. 10. Pardon? 10.1.4. Yeah, that's the verse. Come here. Prabhupada says this is one of the verses we should remember. He distinctly says this is one of the verses we should remember. I like to read from your mobile, but it's too small for me. I find reading from mobiles very difficult. It's a lot easier to read from the big script of the Bhagavatam. The book is the best. Always read the book if you can. There's no substitute for the book. I know we do substitute it. When you're traveling, then, other things may be there, but when you're in home base, read the book. See what states here. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease from hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? It's not just a butcher, meaning the guy who's in the boucherie, la boucherie. More than that. Oh, I'm not a butcher. I'm not killing myself.
Buy from the butcher.
Pardon?
One who buy from the butcher.
Yeah, there's pretty much everybody. Pretty much everyone. Huh? 10:1:4. There's just one verse. You could mention hundreds of follow-on verses from the Bhagavatam. Probably the biggest single most problem we have in every regards in our movement is not, you can't say a problem or in a movement so much, but why we're not progressing is this simple factor, isn't it? It's not very difficult to understand. What is that simple factor?
We're not reading the books.
We're not hearing. Reading, hearing. Reading is one thing, but hearing is another. Eating is one thing, digesting is another.
Why Prabhupada said read my books and not hear my lectures or my letters or my morning conversations?
Why did he say more of that?
Is it not more important reading? And if not, then why Prabhupada asked us to read? He didn't say hear the lectures or the letters. Or
well, he did too, but he specifically left legacy, and his legacy was to study his books. They remain. They're like, sometimes Prabhupada would say they're like law books. But then you get, test cases. So the lectures are kind of, in some ways, of course they're following the same thread. Sometimes they're almost the same as the purports. In fact, Prabhupada would often just read the purports as well. But there's often, sometimes more kind of, what would you say, relevant to the particular time, place, and circumstance. The books are meant to be, although there is also time, place, and circumstances statements that are there, but primarily there to establish the nature of the permanent situation. Sometimes in lectures there's some relativity comes in, but he particularly emphasized the books. Besides, nowadays with our modern technology and our modern digital systems and things are recorded and maintained very nicely. In those days, lectures were lost. I would say about 50% of Prabhupada's lectures were lost. The recordings were lost. And sometimes they're not very clear. The conversations definitely were very topical. The letters were oftentimes very personal. Can't be quoted in most cases as an absolute standard. The books are the law books. They set the standard. Lectures are explanations, further explanations of them. They are also in the form of books. You can read them in the form of books also. But primarily Prabhupada wrote the Bhagavatam purport as the foundation. And there you'll find, there's many, let's say the more you read, the more you hear, the more one sees. In India, it's the practice among the general populace to hear about Krishna, either from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, in order to gain relief from the disease of repeated birth and death. So this is not the ultimate goal, this is maybe one aspect. Although India is now fallen, when there is a message that someone will speak about Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, thousands of people still gather to hear. You see the signs all over Vrindavan. You have to have a big beard and long hair, and you're giving Bhagavat Saptaha, and people will come, isn't it? Big billboards everywhere, mostly like that. This verse indicates, however, that such recitation of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam must be done by persons completely freed from material desires. So this is another secret. It's one thing having our desire, and Krishna will fulfill it if it's sincere, but it has to be connected. It's like you have a very good electrical appliance. There's nothing much nearby. Okay, there's this, but that's different. Say you wanted to boil, there's a kettle over there maybe? Is there a kettle? Here we have a kettle, a water kettle. Okay, it's for boiling water. I don't need it here now. Let's show them. This is called a water kettle. Very good. And there's a plug on the end. You can see the plug. Now, you put water in the kettle, and what do you do then? Is that enough? You got the kettle, you got the plug, you got the water.
Switch.
Huh?
Switch on.
Switch it on. Don't plug it in. No. Just switch the kettle on. No, don't do that. No.
You're right.
Just switch it on. No. Plug it in. Okay. Plug it in here. Come on, plug it in. Plug it into the wall there. Here. Plug it in. You got a kettle, you're rightly situated. There you go, stick it on. Anyone got any glue? That should work. Is it going to work?
We have to wait some time to see.
It's already worked for a while. It's all boiled out. And even in India, you switch it, plug it in, it still may not work. But,
Now it's a generator maybe.
But you've got to have the connection, haven't you? The connection has to be there for the effect to take place. You have to connect also. Everyone within this material, so we have to hear complete, that's another reason. We hear from Prabhupada, one who's completely freed from material desires, Nivritatashya. Not one who's on the path only, but one who's completely freed. It's okay, learning from someone on the path may help you to advance so much, but only so much. Krishna, if you're sincere, Krishna will provide more. Everyone within this material world, beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, is full of material desires for sense gratification. And everyone is busy in sense gratification. But when thus engaged, one cannot fully understand the value of Krishna Katha. You don't understand how valuable it is, the greatest value. So many books we have. Prabhupada gave so many books for the world. Listening to tapes or lectures, and when Prabhupada was around particularly, people didn't listen so much orally. There wasn't so much, nowadays there's a lot of oral. People are not so good at reading nowadays, I don't think. They're not so good at reading these days, people. They can't keep their attention. They can't keep their attention at all. It's a very disturbed stage right now. People suffer from, they have a name for it. What is it? Deficiency.
TDAH.
What does it mean? Attention deficiency.
Attention deficit.
Something along those lines. They say, I can't concentrate, I can't hear. You speak for 1 minute, their minds, they can't stay still. They can't stay still. They're all over the place. People are so disturbed. Very difficult. This is the process, however. With such disturbed people, you try to engage them in service and chanting and dancing and everything else is there.
Because everybody's doing this.
Everyone's doing what?
I said everyone's just doing this all day long.
They're all doing that all day long.
Staring at the screens. Even in the temple now, you're trying to pray and people are stepping on you because they're trying to do selfies in front.
Oh, they're doing selfies, yeah. All the time. I saw somebody sent me a video. There's some group, they did this, don't be a zombie. It was a video. Don't be a zombie. Zombie. A mobile zombie. And it was a video, it was funny. There's all these people, every single one of them in the bus or something was like this, Every single one. And then all of a sudden one put it down, at least one person And then they held it at a distance to take a selfie. It was like this whole song they did, you know. It was a song. People are becoming zombies. They can't. It's very difficult to break through, but we have to. But when that's engaged, everyone is busy. They cannot understand the value, either in the form of Gita or Bhagavatam, or any other spiritual scripture. If we hear the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from liberated persons, this hearing will certainly free us from the bondage of material activity. This is the method, to hear from the right source. By hearing Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by a professional reciter cannot help us to achieve liberation. Krishna Katha is very simple. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as he himself explains. Matak Parataram Nanyat. What's the next line? Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. There is no truth superior to me. It's simple. That's Sambandha, to know that Krishna is the supreme origin of all. Simply by understanding this fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become a liberated person. First, we want more than just being a liberated person. We want to go devotional services goes further, but especially in this age, because people are interested in hearing Bhagavad Gita from unscrupulous persons who depart from the simple presentation of Gita and distort it for their personal gratification or satisfaction, they fail to derive the real benefit. There are big scholars, politicians, philosophers, and science. Prabhupada goes on about that. But then he says they're not people in general hear from them being uninterested in hearing the glories from a devotee, because a devotee gives the real source. You know, if you want a real diamond, it costs money, doesn't it? Yeah. If you want a plastic one, you can get it pretty. It looks nice, but it has no real value. It looks like the same thing, but it has no value. So the real thing is a little bit beyond people. How to get that? In one sense, Krishna consciousness is not that easy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore advised us to hear the glories of the Lord from a realized person. Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavadastani. Unless one is personally a realized soul in the science of Krishna consciousness, a neophyte should not approach him to hear about the Lord, for this is strictly forbidden by Sri Sanatana Goswami, who quotes the Padma Purana. Avaishnavamakod girinam Bhutam harikatam ritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpo chishtam yata payaha. One should avoid hearing from a person not situated in Vaishnava behavior. A Vaishnava is Nivritta Trishna. That is, he has no material desires, no purpose, for his only purpose is to preach Krishna consciousness, or to speak, glorify Krishna. So-called scholars, philosophers, and politicians exploit the importance of Gita by distorting its meaning for their own purposes. Therefore, this verse warns that Krishna Katha should be recited by a person who is Nivritta Trishna. Sukadeva Goswami epitomizes the proper reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Parikshit Maharaj purposely left his kingdom and family prior to meeting death, epitomizes the person fit to hear it. So this is the right combination. And then you get result. Prabhupada gives the example of a man who is potent and a woman who is fertile. They both have to be there. The Krishna conscious movement is therefore trying to train qualified preachers to recite Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita all throughout the entire world, so that people in general in all parts of the world may take advantage of this movement and thus be relieved of the threefold miseries of material existence. The instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and the descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam are so pleasing that almost anyone suffering from the threefold miseries of material existence would desire to hear the glories of the Lord from these books and thus benefit on the path to liberation. If only we could become attracted to hearing this subject matter, attracted to hearing the holy name. and praying, taking shelter of Krishna. Yeah. Two classes of men, however, will never be interested in hearing the message of Bhagavad Gita. And he goes on describing those two classes of men. Those who are determined to commit suicide are those determined to kill animals, which includes eat for the satisfaction of their tongues. Although such persons may make a show of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam at a Bhagavat Saptaha, this is but another creation of the karmis who cannot derive any benefit from such a performance. The word Pashugnat is important in this connection. Pashugna means butcher. Persons fond of performing ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary systems must offer sacrifice by killing animals. Lord Buddha therefore rejected the authority of the Vedas because his mission was to stop animal sacrifice. And it goes on. We'll carry on with that. For Krishna Katha, topics about Krishna consciousness, there must be a speaker and hearer, both of whom must be interested in Krishna consciousness if they are no longer interested in material topics. One can actually see how this attitude automatically develops in persons who are Krishna conscious. Although the devotees of the Krishna conscious movement are quite young men, they no longer read materialistic newspapers, magazines, and so on, for they're no longer interested in such topics. You could say this is a time, place, and circumstance, but it is, and it isn't. It applies to all varieties of unnecessary materials, which are likened in the Bhagavatam as, when you hear mundane literatures, what's those famous verses? They're in the fifth chapter of the first canto, is it? Tadvag. Do you remember the number? Let's see if we can.
And 11?
1, 5, 10.
Probably the same. It's a mundane literature, I think, is 9.
1, 5.
10.
1, 5, 9, 1, 5, 10.
10.
Yadvachaschitra Badang Harer Yasho. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, are considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all-perfect persons are inhabitants of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. So it's not just about what we read, but about our own interactions, our own discussions. Of course, our own thoughts is there, but externally, the more we hear and chat about Krishna, the more chance there is of our mind of being occupied with thoughts about Krishna. And what number here is number 11 is the verse Prabhupada quotes quite frequently. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhadavatyaphi namanyantasya yashwannikanti yat shrindvanti gayanti vinanti sadavam. On the other hand, that literature, which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation, full of transcendental words, directed toward bringing about a revolution. There's a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. Strong verse, huh? Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. They're going to hit the road. And they hit the road at 7:30.
It's early.
Huh?
Morning program is early.
Isn't Scott, they put the Mangal Arati earlier now?
It's early usually. I've been missing it too many times this week.
You haven't? What time's the morning program start?
At 4:10.
4:10.
I usually wake up early.
Yeah, Samadhi Aarti is to pass.
Samadhi Aarti, yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Good night. Make sure the dreams are Krishna's. So, if you are hungry, make sure you dream of prasadam. Eating prasadam. Not going down to the donut shop. Oh yeah, there's Mahaprasad here. Just what you need before going to bed. Here. Whoa. Yes. So, hearing from the right source, association, prayer, keeping engaged as much as we can, so we don't pour. The Bible says, like, you don't pour any more dirty water in there. We try to pour good, clean water in, and don't put any more dirty water in. I mean, it's, obviously, these is easy said. Most of us is still somewhere in between. There's some mundane chit-chat, sometimes mundane watching literatures, watching something, not being engaged, lazy, all kinds of things creep in. Sustaining our conditioned natures, the way we see things. The revolution is a change of how we see things. It's not a change of power, it's a change of how we see things, our perception. It's the only thing that needs to change. So the revolution is a change of perception. Instead of seeing things in relationship with me, we see things in relationship with Krishna. That's the revolution. And that doesn't mean, just when we say things in relation with Krishna, it doesn't just mean everything that happens, we justify it. Oh, that was Krishna. You punch someone in the nose, they say, well, that must have been Krishna's desire. Don't blame me. It wasn't my fault. Krishna's in charge of everything. He drank some beer, so what? I mean, Krishna provided the beer, and he inspired me to drink the beer. The taste in beer is Krishna. Everything's Krishna. It's Krishna conscious. That's indirect, and they're kind of indirect. But it's offensive. It's offensive if you think like that.
Try and do everything with a pure heart.
Pardon?
Try and do everything with pure heart, pure mind, with love, basically.
Oh yeah, of course, pretty perfect. And we try to offer whatever we do with love. But we try to find out what Krishna wants, not that we just justify everything that we do as being, Krishna conscious, so to speak. Well, Prabhu, come on. Krishna inspired me to sleep for 19 hours today. Okay. Yeah. So we try to find out what way Krishna would like it. And that, again, is the importance of having association, the Sangha, spiritual masters. Anything else? So there's a package deal. But primarily when the challenge is there, when devotee turns to Krishna, it's one of the symptoms of surrender, to expect the Lord's mercy, to depend on Krishna for protection and so on. The mind wanderings, we take shelter of Krishna. Sometimes you can find prayers which are specific to that point, and reciting those helps to bring you back to, gives you a little strength, not to be so wayward in your thoughts. But it's getting quite late now, it is 7:40, and Nikunja's had a long day. She was in Govardhan all day long, walked all around Govardhan Hill. Did you walk all the way around?
Yeah.
You walked the whole way? Really?
We left here at about 5 a.m. We finished around 2:30ish, but we went around Radhakund as well again.
Yeah, pretty much the whole day.
We got back, I think, around 5. That was about 12 hours altogether.
You're very determined. So you're leaving at 2 tomorrow afternoon. A whole party's leaving tomorrow?
No, just me.
What are they doing?
This is the Holy Name Retreat.
Oh, you're not staying for that.
No,
You have to go
I
back.
think it was something to do with my leave for work.
Work. Back to work. Back to work.
Yes.
Actually, Maharaj, that was my next question. How did you get over the Vrindavan effect? I'll go back to London in 4 days and go back to the material mundane world again. You're missing Vrindavan. Everyone who's gone back to the UK recently from Vrindavan they're like sending teary emojis.
Having like a, what do they call it? Come down. Symptoms of.
Sometimes it takes a couple of weeks. No, you actually never get over it. But
Well, you mean.
until you come back to Vrindavan.
You don't mean the physical side, you mean the well, the heart. The heart.
I suppose when you walk out the house, you don't see the
readjusting.
monkeys.
But you see other monkeys.
you see different kinds of monkeys.
The other monkeys are
Different kinds of monkeys.
much worse than the
Much
ones
worse
in
monkeys,
Vrindavan.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to readjust to.
Very, very good.
When you go down to Thai Prabhu, maybe you don't know him, but one of our French devotees who went back yesterday. He was on the Braj Mandal Parikramar for a month. He came back a couple of days ago, and then he went back to France yesterday. He said, I don't know how I'm gonna relate to being back in Paris. You know, it's like after being a month in the villages and around the Dham. It's in fact it's a magic world. We have to try to carry Vrindavan wherever we go. In terms of remembering and understanding of the purpose. Srila Prabhupada's going from Vrindavan to the West. For him, I mean, for us it's difficult, but imagine for Prabhupada, who was completely absorbed in the deepest Braj Seva, Braj Bhakti. And to go to America, what a transition. And alone. There was no temple. There were no devotees. Nothing. Just Maya. Everyone in Maya. Absolutely no one was Krishna conscious. No one. And there was the closest he got was a Mayavadi guru and Dr. Mishra. He wouldn't let him speak because he was, afraid that he would speak something, very personal. Something which would contradict what he was teaching people. You can imagine how that was for Prabhupada. But for the sake of his spiritual master, he did it. So when you go back to the West, you have to think, because you're living in the West, it's not that you're going there for the first time. Prabhupada went there for the first time. It wasn't like, he'd come from there and gone back again. It's the first time. He just took shot of his spiritual master. The instruction of his spiritual master, Prabhupada said, was my life, my strength. The strength comes from that instruction. Try to take shelter of that instruction. Remembering Prabhupada's Leelamrita, his sacrifice, and you do have many devotees now in London, and everywhere else, more or less, there are devotees. And try to understand what is the real purpose of the Lord manifesting His Dham in this world, whatever we can understand of that or experience of the Dham. What is the purpose of it? And be grateful that we're being given this chance a little bit at least. And one who's grateful naturally wants to share it with others. Naturally. When I see others suffering just like we were, or we are, then you want to share it. Not the suffering, the Dham. Anything else? When you go to the temple, what you can do when you go back is try to be more serious in your vows, increase your chanting, and try to take more advantage of the Sangha of devotees. We have to learn something, we have to pick something up when we come here. Not just a little bottle of dust and a bottle of water. You have to get more than that. I've been to Vrindavan, so what you get? I got a bottle of water from Radhakund, and some dust from Jiva Goswami's well, and some flowers from the Samadhi, and some pictures, and what else have I got? I got a few mosquito bites. What else have you got? I got some Live 52 to help you with the liver problems. Live 52, I don't know if they still sell that or not. To help you with the liver problems. So many nice things I picked up. But there should be more than that. There should be some lessons. There should be some, pick up something which you're going to apply in your life. Okay. Getting late. Tomorrow, some of you will be here, some of you won't. We will try, say try is the word for it, but depends on the health. But try to go for parikrama tomorrow evening.
Sorry.
I'm afraid Govardhan parikrama is unlikely to happen this week, or it won't happen this week. But you're leaving on what day do you leave? On Sunday or Monday?
22, it's
On 10.
Oh, you still got another
it's a Saturday.
When do you leave for Govardhan?
On the 10th, it's Monday.
You're leaving here, what time?
I don't know. We don't know.
Pardon?
We don't even know.
Is it buses are going or something?
I have no idea actually.
Usually they organize a bus.
So the earlier the better.
Yes.
I was meant to leave at 5, we ended up leaving at 6, but then the roads get very, very hot around midday. Well, I remember when I was doing it, it was like, the roads got really, really hot. So feet were sore for a couple
They're not
of days.
walking, don't worry.
Oh, they're not walking, oh no, we didn't walk. Barefooting, so.
You went walking?
They're going for
about 10 days.
they're going for a retreat. They're going for
Last year I ended up doing 42 again.
they're going for a holy name retreat. They're not going for walking to go for. So anyway, such is life. So what do you think, Yasamati?
Yeah, it's time to preach again.
Time to preach again. You get recharged. Okay, there you go. You should have recharged your batteries, and now you go on the road again. Get back into gear. Someday it takes a little while to get into gear, but you get back into gear after a while. Fired up to preach Krishna's message. One thing is, of course, now it's like you don't hear so much like we used to. We come to India and, classes would be to charge you up to go back to the West and preach. Now it's like, it's all about, Vrindavan and the pastimes, and this is what we really, everything's about, which ultimately is not wrong, but it doesn't necessarily evoke a spirit of preaching. Yes, both have to be there. But do you speak very much?
Yeah, strict.
Yeah. out of here and preach, you know. Don't hang around.
In the bushes actually.
Pardon?
In the bushes of Vrindavan.
Pardon?
They run around in the bushes.
In the bushes?
No.
No, they've always running around in the bushes, I've seen it. Especially here in this ashram here. See them at night running around in the bushes out there. They're looking for Krishna. Looking for something. Looking for the rabbits, maybe. They got rabbits downstairs, someone told me.
There is on the hand.
In the corner, by the entrance.
Rabbits. Yeah. Well, you know, what can I say? Some devotees say we should just hear and chant all day long, but the purpose of hearing and chanting is obviously to please Krishna, to purify our hearts. It is also to spread Krishna consciousness. I don't know, I guess they say that Prabhupada's translation of the verse Tavagatamritam Tapti Jivanam, which we normally hear how the greatest welfare worker are those who spread this message all over the world, but they probably translate that differently for those who don't agree with that. They probably have a different translation to that verse. There's so many different translations to different words meaning different things. Has everyone got a wandering mendicant picture? Oh Lord Nityananda?
Yes.
Most of the devotees have gone. He's a wandering mendicant. Lord Chaitanya told him to leave Jagannath Puri and go and preach in Bengal.
I also don't have. Thank you. How would you like?
Go preach in Bengal. Go preach in Melbourne. At least we can distribute books. We may not be near to Krishna.
I didn't get this one.
You didn't get that one. You need all mercy. No Nityananda's mercy. The jungles of the West, the concrete jungles. They're called the concrete jungles. Lord Chaitanya preached in the jungle of Jharkhand. The jungles of the West are the concrete jungles. Much more dangerous than the jungles in the, in Africa or wherever they are. Here also jungle. Two-legged animals. Two-legged. Okay. Some prasadam.